I'm going to talk to you about a company that I've co-founded called Remark. I'm not a salesperson, so I'm not very good at that sort of thing. My background's in user experience design as well as product development, and I've done that. I'm currently at American Express doing that, but I've done that at Sprint and prior to that Virgin Mobile, all in New Jersey area. So Remark is my baby and my side venture that we just started. So what is Remark? The idea is we're helping businesses collect feedback in the moment. And so the thought is, can we deliver feedback tools to local businesses, products, events that are basically the customer is giving the business the feedback at moment of interaction and then is rewarded for that feedback. So I have a couple use cases that kind of describe what that is and kind of what we're going out with. So the first use case is really for local business, and it's about replacing sort of a traditional comment card with a mobile solution. So the idea here is if you shop at Home Depot or Lowe's or even you'll see Starbucks do it often, they'll say, hey, give us some thoughts and we'll give you a free slice of pizza. And the idea is creating a mobile tool to mobilize that. So it's not on the bottom of a printout receipt, go to this website, and then you kind of put it in your purse and never do it, to something that you can tap or scan and take the survey there and then get granted a reward for that survey. And so the who we're selling to is really the business, and think of it as Yelp, but the business is actually soliciting that feedback versus Yelp, where it's more consumer-oriented. So that's the first use case, and happy to take questions as we go or at the end. Again, no problem. The second use case.
Based on just smartphones, or can that be used on computers as well?
So our solution is going after smartphones right now, and I think where we're trying to differentiate is we're not thinking about online feedback, and I think it's because there's a lot of people doing it, frankly, and we've started saying, this is going to be a mobile thing, and our difference is that in moment, meaning there's some knowledge decay that happens when you get these things, go home and take a survey, versus happening in the moment. I think you'll get better results out of it, and there's some research that supports that. And the question was, are you thinking about doing this online as well, in addition to mobile? The second use case is really for products. And the thought here is one of the categories we're going after is craft beers. So if you're into craft beers, you know that there's thousands and thousands of people doing this right now, and it's a very hot topic. And if you go to the local liquor store, you're sitting in the aisle, and there's 1,000 options in front of you. And the idea is, how do I know which one to pick? And you're seeing this a lot on wine bottles, where people will put QR codes on the wine bottle. You could scan and get more information. The idea is the same, in that can we build a tool so that a distributor or a product owner can put a feedback mechanism on those on that product and then gather feedback. You've seen this for years on the ketchup bottle. You look at the Heinz bottle, it says, call us this number for feedback. It's the same idea. So you could scan and do that. I'm going to get into kind of the product a little bit more, what we provide. And there's kind of two slides here. What do we provide for the business and what do we provide to the customer? Because we're really talking about two audiences here. On the business side, it is that comment card replacement. It is a tool that's end-to-end. I'm providing the second bullet here, which is the syndication tool. So in this case for local business, it's printable materials. Like, how do I get, if I'm sitting at TGI Fridays, how do I get that little 5x7 onto the table so that I can solicit the feedback there to the actual mobile site, so the destination that they go to. And in addition, the tools that the businesses use to manage all this. The next thing here, rewards and loyalty. So the reward idea is the business themselves can set up a unique reward for their business. So if I own a pizzeria, I say, hey, free slice of pizza for your thoughts. Next time you come in, the customer can kind of flash their phone and say, hey, I've got this coupon or reward. Can you please grant it to me? The next one here, which is grant rewards ad hoc, the idea here is based on the feedback that I get from a customer, say they had a bad experience with you. I can craft a reward unique for that user and deliver that reward to them after the fact. So you gave me all ones. And the reason why you gave me all ones was not because you hated my coffee. It was because it was really slow that day. So I can create a reward and say, hey, next coffee's on us. Use the tool and then deliver it to the user. And the user then gets it delivered to them on email and is available on the site so that the next time they visit the coffee shop, they flash their phone again, get the reward. So that's kind of the business side of things. There's a dashboard here, view comments and print out printables and manage the rewards. On the customer side of things, it's like, okay, so we're evaluating all these locations. Obviously, it would be good for other users to see that. So this is traditional, like Yelp type of stuff where you can go and see where others are commenting. I think what's unique is really the rewards feature, where the rewards can get tied to me as an individual. And when I log into Remark, I have all my rewards available. And in this case, if it's the location service, it's also location aware, so that I walk past that pizzeria that I have a reward and my phone lights up and says, hey, why don't you redeem that reward the next time you're in. The other thing here was anonymous feedback and single sign-on. So the idea is, if you've ever filled out one of these surveys, first off, they ask you, one time they might ask you 3 questions, the next time they could ask you 30 questions, and the 30 questions could be, who are you, all these, the same stuff over and over again, you male, female, demographic info, etc. The idea is I sign up once and I do this with Remark and I establish a identity here, and then when I leave feedback to different locations, I'm not telling them who I am, and I'm not sharing that information, but they still have a method to communicate with me. So I, as Remark in the middle, will deliver these rewards to you, deliver the feedback to the business, but my identity is kept anonymous between that transaction. That's single sign-on too, is that I don't have to kind of tell you who I am every single time for this. I have a couple more slides. Competitive view. Quickly, it's kind of like we're in the middle. You have all these consumer services on the right, which are consumer first. There's business services on the left, which are the traditional survey type of tools. We kind of sit in the middle because we service both, but we go after business first, and then the customers come. What else do I have here? How do we make money on this? So there's really 2 methods. The first is a freemium model. So what we have launched today is basically a free product for local business. So if you have less than 2 locations or less than 2 products, you can sign up for free and do this all right now. And it's always going to be free for that user. And next month, we're launching our premium service, which is basically more locations, more customized features, and the ability to grant those unique rewards to a user is one of the key things. And the price point's not set, but think $20, $30 a month type of thing for this type of service. That's one area. The second is more customized. So we've had discussions with big brands that say, I like this, but I don't want it Remark branded. I want it white labeled. So can you build something for me that is basically, in this case, Brooklyn Brewery, can you do this so that on my packaging, I want the feedback. I also want a branded destination. I want content to be put on that site. So that's another opportunity, and that's actually probably a bigger opportunity than the freemium model, is to do these custom integrations. But our approach has been free to get some scale, paid to get a little bit of money, and also this will help us justify the more custom type of integration work. Let me just see what else we have here. Where we are, we're trying to get money. So that's kind of, everyone's trying to get money. But we're iterating, and we have this paid offer that's coming in mid-July. And that's it. That's me and my co-founder. How many developers do we have? We have 2. We have about 15 people working overall, though. No one's full-time, no one's paid. it's a lot of creative marketing, sales, kind of the whole project management, all of it basically.
How's your experience in raising funding? Do you find investors in New York interested in investing in New Jersey companies?
The thing that I've heard, and it's exactly what was just said by Dennis, is you got to prove yourself. And so what was said in some of the conversations was, show me how $100,000 turns into $1 million, or show me how $1 million turns into $3 million, and actually have done that. That's been a lot of the comments. Like, again, prove it to me. And so, being that we just launched in April, we don't have money to prove that. So what we're trying to do is go again, prove the model a little bit, so that we can raise those fundings.
That's gotta be frustrating.
It's frustrating, but it's been an awesome learning experience at the same time.
Questions have to be bordering on the impossible.
It's
very speculative, isn't it?
It's definitely speculative, and I think there's been some. So our first conversations were more in a larger dollar figure, like $2 to $3 million figure, and initially they came right back and said, "Look, what can you do for 300 or 500,000 and show us that type of thing?" And the other conversations that have been had is, "You've built this. Why don't you just make some money? Like, do you even need the seed money?"
What's your answer to that?
The answer is I don't know yet.
Working model in place where like a prototype where people can actually see, although whoever is funding your project can actually see you're getting a good feedback from people.
Yeah, so you can go to remark.com. It is live right now, so anyone can sign up, and it works right now. We don't have the paid fee until next month.
As far as you mentioned, which I like, the white labeling version, but how does that conflict with your user base with the single sign-on and anonymous? So
Dennis's question is about how does a white label version conflict with single sign-on and anonymity. There is a conflict there for sure. I think the conversations they have is who owns the customer. In that case, is it?
Well, I mean, are they basically putting it out as their own app in which the single sign-on no longer works, and that the person downloading it knows that they're downloading the Brooklyn login
right.
app.
So what we've seen more is think of a distributor that has 50 brands and wants to have a product that's unique for this supermarket or this liquor store or that location, so that there's all these different campaigns running at the same time. So they want single sign-on for their brand across all of these different products, but there's not much interest in, basically helping the Remark brand grow. So we'll have a decision that we'll have to make at some point, how to handle that. Or is there a way that we come in the middle a little bit?
With that? Possess the data? Like, are you still in that the white label versus the universe? I mean, are you the one who said who owns the customer? That kind of point. I mean, if Brooklyn Brewery says to you, "This is ours. This is what we pay for." How do you marshal those expectations? Because that data can be very valuable.
Right.
Then you get into the questions of how do I appropriately treat that data, because that's personal.
Right. Yeah, and the comment was again about the data and who owns it really. And so in the cases, it's a managed service, so it's not an installed service. So we have the data, but who owns it is still a question mark.
But you still possess it in either case.
Right. In either case, we possess the data, right? And so there's an opportunity to deliver it in aggregate, right?
Is there a client on the app? Do you get it out of like an app store? How does the consumer get it on, and what's the business's relationship to getting that app on the device?
So the question is there an app? So right now we're appless. So the idea is it's a destination that's delivered through the browser. And if you think about it, again, let's take like the TGI Fridays example. I'm sitting there. I'm not going to download the TGI Fridays app, but I still want to be able to solicit feedback. And in that case, it's either a QR code or a URL that gets brought up on the phone through the browser. And then ultimately, as you get a lot of this thing going, that's where an app makes sense for a user, because if they do have a lot of relationships and the brand is big, I'm going to want to do push notifications and that sort of thing and do the location-based type of access.
Do you have
Yeah,
a way
please.
for the person that puts the data in to be able to go back and look at their past history? Here's a great
So-
example. You have a beer, you break down
Mhm.
what you thought of it, if you liked it or not, and if you have enough of them, you're going to forget what happened with the
Yeah. The question is, do you keep the comments and can I see them as a user? And the answer is yes. And one of the cool things, one of the use cases we didn't anticipate is events. So what we've done last month, that we're doing this weekend, we did this Brew Fest last month where it was, we're trying to get in with this category. And so we're like, how do I get myself introduced to a lot quickly? And the Brew Fest was interesting because there was about 30 brewers and 50 beers there that we tagged every beer at the festival. And the users were basically rating the beers real time and seeing the comments of other users at that festival. Now, it was for a moment, for 3 hours, and then the data's, we could use the data, but it's really irrelevant after that. But it was a cool use case for us, and it actually got us to like kind of test, what does it look like when 2,000 people hit your site in an hour? And this weekend we're doing the same thing at, it's actually at Turtleback Zoo, this thing called Brew at the Zoo. I don't know. It's the 30-year anniversary for Turtleback Zoo, and apparently drinking beer with monkeys is the right thing to do. So it sounds pretty fun, actually. It's in, I guess it's West Orange, right?
When you tag it, you're just putting like, when you say tag it, what do you mean? Putting a QR code?
So in that case, we use QR codes,
You
yes.
just have to put a sticker, right? Otherwise, you're having to get into the production of the label. Or are you just putting like a QR sticker? I'm just trying to understand the logistics of tagging for one event.
Sure. So in that case, we set up an event as a business, and that business had, let's call it 60 products that were all set up, and each product has a QR code that was generated unique for the product, and in that case, printed out and kind of stuck on. I think we have a little. This is kind of back here is the beer case, and the QR code's in front. And in addition, we had an index page so that if you ever go to a wine fest or a beer festival, they give you that flyer on the way in. Well, the first page of the flyer said, hey, you could see this whole flyer through your mobile phone and also see how people are commenting real time on it as an index. Let me go back, and then I'll come to you, Chip.
My question is more of I'm new to this entrepreneuring thing, so just getting that. So it seems like you have already a working application, right?
Right.
Where do we need the funding? Like, what is that like? You have already a team of people who are volunteering, like co-owners or something.
Right. So the question is,
when you generate the revenue, you're going to share, right?
So is the question why the funding, or
Why we solicit basically as an entrepreneur the funding? I'm trying to understand.
I think
Why can't you start tomorrow?
I think time, because I think the reality is this is not a full-time job, and the money's not coming in to support that yet. But it also is one of these things that you can get a couple big deals, and it becomes a full-time job very quickly. And so one of the things that, again, back to the questions with the venture capitalists, even one of them that we met said, why do you even need this? Like, why can't you just do it? And so that was an interesting comment. I think for us, it's more about growth, exactly, fueling the growth.
So instead of waiting like 3 years to have it.
Right, that's exactly right. And Chip.
Are you afraid that should you start going and get some traction and revenue, the patent trolls might move into the kill? Because NPR did a rebroadcast of a show a few years back. Patent trolls look pretty small companies. Just start to get going, get some revenue, bang, move in.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think it'd be fantastic if it happened, just because that says we're doing something right. I think if it happens, it's just going to happen. But one of the things, ask why do we need the money? It is protecting IP. I mean, just there's process IP here that there's nothing, I think, technology IP, but there is process IP that we should protect. But it'd be a good problem to have, I think.
The NPE or patent troll issue is generally something that's
this NPR article, they specifically target companies that just started, can't do the legals, and they just get just enough blood out of them.
So that's, they do that for big companies, that's one thing. I mean, that's how they do it, but I will tell you from experience, not a vast one, but I've handled a number of cases against them. They'll go away quicker than you think. I mean, it really depends on what they're pushing at and how targeted their portfolio is, but it's a hard thing to broad brush. And you can't stress too much about something like that, or else your business will be bogged down when you should be thinking about more proactive things.
One more question, and then we'll.
I just want to circle back to something that you mentioned, which is again with getting some VC money for this. And you had mentioned that you spoke about getting a few $1 million. You ended up being talked about around the number of $300,000 to $500,000. I'm still not quite understanding. There's a company that did something very similar in Cambridge, and they did a beer analytics. So they had a very similar survey process. They sold it to some major beer distributors who then used those analytics, and they're selling that at a premium. So they did that with zero funding, and they did it just by taking the model live.
Right.
So is the concern with getting the funding out there so that you can scale up quickly and validate the model to get a Series A or second round of funding, or is it just to put some infrastructure in place so that you can take this?
It's more the first comment is more to scale quickly. It's more what you mentioned, exactly to scale quickly.
So my follow-up to that would be, do you see that there's any first mover advantage to scaling quickly with an idea like this when there's a lot of other similar analytic products out there?
I think it's a good time. I do have to think about it for sure. I don't think I have that answer exactly worked out in our mind yet. And obviously, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this right now. We do have this freemium approach that with the right sales team and the right rev share with them, we can get a team to sell this thing. And so I've got that going, the custom integrations going where you're an agency basically now, and then, just go the VC route. So I think they're all up in the air, basically. You're welcome. Thank you. One more?
There must be some methodology to attracting people to share their opinion. Is it completely the responsibility of the people using it, or do you offer some bells and whistles to help that along?
Yeah, that's interesting. So the first off, the survey that is offered as default is it's a customer experience survey based on Forrester research, and it also has a net promoter component. So there are people that are doing this. They don't need to know anything about the right questions to ask, for sure. The thing that we haven't thought through is this sort of managed service idea of, well, how do you get your scores higher, and how does that translate into business, and how does that ultimately result in loyalty in those paid services? Again, I think it's let's get some customers going, and that'll happen. But the logic behind the survey is pretty sound as the questions we're asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry I didn't repeat all the questions.
I know, stop for a second.